Dial 352-433-4090. That's 433-4090. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Nice looking day out there. Beautiful day. Susan E. Casey is on the phone. Susan has a book called Rock On, Mining for Joy in the Deep River of Sibling Grief. It is her personal journey. Susan is obviously a writer. She's a licensed mental health clinician, a certified bereavement group facilitator, a certified grief life transitions coach. She lost Rocky, her 43-year-old younger brother, suddenly on Valentine's Day from an unknown illness. And so we're going to talk about Rocky a little bit, and I think I'll be probably bringing up my own brother, who passed away. I'm trying to get the knobs here set right. My own brother died in May of this past year on Cinco de Mayo, so it was something in common with two days that are on the calendar as some special kind of a day. Susan Casey, good morning. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here, and I want to say I'm so sorry for the loss of your brother.
Oh my gosh, and thank you for that. And same here. It's something everybody says, and I don't know ever how to handle that. Do you were you a bereavement counselor before your brother passed?
Well, I've been in the field now for 25 years, so I've worked with clients and families with extensive trauma for many, many years. And then after my brother passed, I decided to do bereavement work. And that's when I went to the Center for Grieving Children and ran groups for, close to 5 years.
So I don't know. I don't know how to. I wouldn't know how to tell somebody how to handle the grief. But that's what you do. You tell us, the rest of us, how to handle it, right? Is that
that's an interesting question because, the grief journey, the one thing that I've learned going through it is, there's no clocks and calendars, and there really, people can give you tips on how to handle grief, but it really is a matter of being held while you're going through it. So that's how I feel about grief, and that has been my experience. And I'm a writer, so for me, writing through it was the most healing part of my grief journey.
Oh wow! So I got two real quick stories to tell you about mine. I don't want this to be about me, but if I could just share these two things with you. One was my brother died in a car wreck, but he wasn't officially dead, clinically dead yet. He was in the hospital in Vegas, and I went out to see him, and he died while I was in the room. After I got back from Vegas, Robin said to me, he was here. And I said, what do you mean he was here? And she saw him. Robin saw my brother. Now, I don't know, it's kind of spooky, right? But you know what it said to me? It said, oh, gosh, that's good. That means he's okay. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a real believer in most of that stuff, but it hit me the right way, just hearing that. The other thing was real crazy. At his memorial in, where were we, Lake Havasu?
Yes.
Lake Havasu in Arizona. One of my nephews asked if we could play a certain song on the Bluetooth thing. And it was this country song about beer drinking. And I said, oh my gosh, really? and so we played this song, and oh my gosh, it made me cry. It was so emotional. And my son, who is 33 years old, rubbed my back like, it's okay, Dad. Because I started, crying a little bit, or a lot, whatever. But anyway, so that touch from my son and that message from Robin, those two things made a big difference for me. If I could just ask you, is that common? I mean, did that happen to you? Anything similar?
Oh my gosh! Well, now you're getting into the realm of my absolute favorite topic, which is which is the spirit world, and which has been a deep belief of mine for as long as I can remember. I think I've read just about every book on the afterlife that I could get my hands on prior to my brother's death, and then after. I've had so many signs from my brother; it's almost ridiculous. And you know, and everything that I've read and the people that I interviewed, there's a whole section in the book of messages that we've gotten from the other side. But A, you got to be a believer, and B, it is very difficult for our loved ones to come through when we're in deep grief. And I think that Robin was able to see she was the channel for your brother because you were in such deep grief, he may not have been able to reach you, but that's how they talk to us through songs. And I mean, there are so many ways that they come through to us. And Rocky, I have not seen him, but I could feel him. He was with me. I'll tell you a really quick story that freaked me out a little bit. So when I was writing this book, and I've been to several mediums throughout my life, and several since he passed, and my mom passed in March, which is another whole cool story. But at any rate, when my brother passed, I was writing this book, and I had a picture of me and my 4 siblings, and every day I'd come into my office, and there it was, laying on my computer. And there's no wind in my office. It would just fall. So I felt when I went to see a medium, when I went to see a medium, she said, your brother is writing this book with you, which I already knew. So I could feel his presence.
Wow, that is amazing. So your brother died before your mother did. The grief that your mother went through when her son died, that must have been horrible for her.
It was horrible, but I'll tell you, after my mom died, who was the deepest believer in my writing, I got the book deal 4 months after her passing.
Oh my God! She went to the publisher and said, "You got to do this one."
I think so. I really think it was her. But I know there can be listeners who are skeptics, and that's okay. I mean, we all have our own beliefs, but I have such a deep belief that there is certainly our souls, our energy, and they don't die.
So tell me about the book. Is the book for the grieving person, or is it more of a memoir? Tell me about the book.
Well, I guess my publisher, I mean, we've sort of called it a self-help memoir because, I was told when I was writing it from my writing group, oh, this is 2 different books. And I said, no, I'm going to make it work. And so I think about this book before, during, and after my brother's death because he died over in Hong Kong. And so my oldest brother and I had to fly over there. So it really is my story leading up until his death and then transitions into what I did when I came home, and then I had this time and was just in a very dark place and decided to write this book. So I also interviewed 27 people from all over the world who lost a sibling. And then what I did is really, based on the power of those interviews, I designed the book under chapter themes, like letting go of anger and the guilt that we carry and messages from the other side. And so I took those stories and I actually bring the sibling alive on the page prior to the death and then move into the excerpts from the interview, which I think made the book more powerful in terms of all of these siblings were real, and I carry their stories with me now.
So tell me about Rocky.
Oh, my God. My brother, so he was 4 years younger than me. He died at 43. And he was just this charismatic. He was beautiful inside and out. I know people always say that about the people that they love, but he really was. And he just had this, he was an amazing athlete. He was funny. And, my first chapter is around secret keepers. I was his older sister, and, he would come to me with everything. And he ended up taking a job with 4 Seasons over in Bali, Indonesia. And that was very, very difficult, him moving so far away. And he dabbled in drugs and things like that I talk about in the book. He was he just wasn't afraid of anything. He was just a free spirit.
Yeah.
and did some really amazing work in this lifetime.
It's a great position to have, being the secret keeper. That's a great, right? That's a great thing to be. Somebody, if you're somebody's secret keeper, they love you.
Yeah, we had a pretty close bond, and there were days. I mean, he lived so far away. We would Skype or FaceTime, and he would come here. But I think that our family just missed him so much, and but after his death, there are days, because he was so far away, that it's going to be 6 years in February, and there are days I still can't believe he's gone. I talk to him every day, and my mom.
You also talk about the kindness of strangers, especially when you're getting ready to fly to Hong Kong.
The kindness of strangers?
Yeah, especially because you didn't know this I think Crystal.
Yeah, so Crystal, this is an interesting story. I mean, my father had been estranged from his brother for 40 years, and so his son, Russ, got remarried to this woman, Crystal, and she had never met me. She had come one summer. She reunited our families, and she had never met me. And when my brother died, she bought our airline, me and my older brother, she bought our airline tickets. She paid for our hotels. It was just incredible. And she flew us first class on the way home, which really, by the time I got through with that trip, I think I write in the book, I felt ready for my own casket. It was a harrowing trip.
Yeah.
And there we were in first class, and it was my depth of gratitude. I had no words of how to thank her for what she gave to us.
Wow. So you, I just a little bit more about me. My sister actually passed away also about 2012. So it's been a while now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Was it 2012? No, 2008. No, she died in 2008. So it's been like 11 years or so. And one of the things that happened for me, again, I'm not psychic or anything. I don't have. I mean, maybe once in a while I have a hunch. But I every once in a while I can feel them near me. Like it's kind of weird. It's like one frame from a movie. It'll be in like the size of a postage stamp. That's how I describe it. It's like the size of a postage stamp and as quick as one frame of a movie, and they're gone. But I know that they were there. Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was telling you, when I can feel that presence. I just have to say though, I'm just so sorry. I can't. You've lost 2 siblings. I mean, I know this is my interview, but I'm just curious as to how you have dealt with the death of both of your siblings.
Wow. I probably like you. I think it's an up and down thing, for the more recent one, which is my brother who died last May. I think about him all the time. I actually, okay, so I guess the best answer is that I know that nobody likes to hear this when somebody dies, and maybe I didn't either, but I had faith that they were in heaven. I just had that faith, and maybe, I don't know that. I can't, if you ask me to put my hand, one of the 10 Commandments is thou shalt not bear false witness, so I can't tell you I know it, but I believe it, So,
yeah,
so
me too.
Maybe that's what helps. I don't know. But bring it back to you.
I know. Sorry, I know. My favorite thing is to interview too.
At the end of each chapter, you seem to sum everything up and give your insight, which is very comforting.
Oh, thank you. That was actually a thought another writing buddy of mine had said to sort of anchor at the end of each chapter, which I also thought gave people a little bit of a breather before the next set of tragic stories. But even though all of these stories are tragic, there's hope in each one. Or at least that is my prayer, that people walk away with a sense of hope, that things do get better. You weave the loss into the fabric of your life, and of course, you hold that person so dear in your heart, and nothing can ever fill that hole. But grief changes shape over time, because I think it's that when it happens, it is such a it's such a heart-crushing moment, and I am such an optimist. And I remember thinking, I don't want to live if I have to feel like I'm walking through this dark tunnel for the rest of my life. And that's sort of when I went on to this, self-healing odyssey of writing my way through it, and all of those interviews and crying through those interviews. And, and then I knew when it was time to reach out, and I did go see a grief and loss counselor. And I think that those are the important things for people to know, that A, you don't have to go through it alone. B, it is a dark period. We grieve deeply because we have this incredible capacity to love. That is the gift.
That's beautiful.
And we know you can't get through this world without feeling loss and grief.
I love that. They say, they and whoever they are, they say that when you die, you review your life, right? You stand with God or somebody, and you're looking at pictures of your life, and you're somehow remembering everything all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's the only part that scares me about death. I'm like, oh God.
Oh, I know. I know. There's going to be a few times where I'm going to be turning my head. Did you really have to show that? I don't. All right, but in the subtitle of your book, "Mining for Joy in the Deep River of Sibling Grief," that's a beautiful sentiment right there, because that's exactly what happens for me, and I'm guessing for everybody. I don't want to make it seem like I'm the only one who has anybody's ever passed, because we all have. But if you are by yourself, Robin recently bought me this album that I listened to in 1977 on the plane to go see my brother, the one who now died, right? So she bought me this CD, and I hadn't heard that music since 1977, pretty much. And it took me right back there. So as I'm driving the car listening to this music, I am back there, and it's in my mind, I guess. So that's a way of mining for joy. I had that deep river happening for me as I was in the car. At least that's what I told the police officer. So do you do that kind of thing?
I think. Go ahead.
I was just.
Go ahead.
My question is, do you do that kind of thing? Do you look at old photo albums or listen to old music or something?
Yes, and I can do that now. It took me quite a while before I could look at his photographs, and my younger brother made just the most gorgeous memorial video for when we did his celebration of life, and Ripple, the Grateful Dead, was one of his favorite songs, and I couldn't listen to that for a long time, and now, I'll say, I'm cooking dinner, and I'll say, hey, Alexa, play Ripple, and now I can dance with joy to that, but that took a while. And I think the other thing, when I think about mining for joy in the deep river of grief, part of it is that I think often when we first hear ourselves laugh for the first time after we've lost somebody that we love, at least I'll speak for me, that there's a sense of guilt. Like, how can I laugh again, and how can I open my arms to joy again? But what I have realized, my brother loved life, and the way to honor him for me was to show up in the best version of myself, and to be joyful, and to enjoy this life, because it is a gift, and we don't know how long we have. Mm-hmm. And so now I want to celebrate life for him, and now, of course, for my mom.
You redefine the word transition, because usually when people say they're going through a transition, they're leaving everything old behind and going new. It's just moving forward. But you're saying it's okay to do that, but still hold on to the memory and never forget, as long as you don't get lost in it.
Right, and I'll tell you how my grief counselor explained it to me that I thought was really beautiful. She was also an energy worker too, like working on my body. And she said, your brother doesn't live out there, meaning out, like outside of myself. And she said, you drift. And she said, your brother lives inside. It's in your heart. And that was really helpful, because I would drift. I would stare out a window for 4 hours and just not even know where the time went. I had to leave work. I mean, it was, when I say I really did walk through the darkness. I really did. And yeah, but it's, you know, as much as I miss my brother, I know that this journey I was on, he was with me, and I am a different person. Or I guess I wouldn't say different. I guess I would say everything is just more precious, more fragile, more. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. I can't really put words to it.
No, you're making every sense. Yeah.
I just don't take anything for granted anymore.
No, absolutely. I think you're expressing something we all feel. The book is called Rock On, Mining for Joy in the Deep River of Sibling Grief. It's the book by Susan E. Casey. Is this a first-time outing for you? This is really well written, by the way, and Robin and I both loved the book. So is this a first one for you, or have you done this a lot?
Well, it's actually my third book, but this is the first to get published. I have 2 novels. One I was pitching when my brother died, and I stuck that in a drawer, and then the other one was Rough Draft. And so this is my first work of nonfiction. But I chronicled my grief on my blog, my website, SusanECasey.com too, and so this feels, but I will say this feels like the most important piece of work I've done in my lifetime, because this is so much bigger than my story with my brother. It is the story of all of these people and their siblings, because you know what? The truth is, sibling loss, I think, is one of the most underwritten about tragedies and how profound that loss is, because when a sibling dies, if the sibling was old enough and they've got a wife and kids, and then you've got the sibling's parents, and so for us, I think we take care of a lot of the details. I know me and my brother did after my brother died, and you're constantly swallowing your grief to be strong for everyone, and so it can be a very lonely, painful experience when you feel like I've got to be strong for everyone around me. But siblings, I have this quote, and I wish I could remember the author. I can't. But when a sibling dies, the spouse and children lose the future, the parents lose the past, but the sibling loses both. And I think that's really true.
Wow, yeah.
Our siblings shape who we become, whether we're close or estranged. There's nobody who knows us like our siblings.
I think I could tell you that you have been super successful with this book. And you know how I know that? Because you're connecting with us. I can feel it. We speak to authors all the time, and some connect and some don't. And to me, that's a measure of success right there. If somehow what you have done, a work of art, which a book is a work of art, if it's somehow reaching us, then you've done your job. So who is your secret keeper? Was Rocky your secret keeper?
Yeah, I mean, and of course my younger brother, is also one of my dearest friends. Me and my siblings are all super tight. But yeah, Rocky and I shared everything with Rocky. And I have a lot of those, just a lot of those late night phone calls that we would have together. But thank you for saying about the connection, because it is just such a deeply passionate topic for me. I'm building an 8-week online course now for sibling grief, and I hope, like I said, I do hope this book will bring people some comfort, and that they get that they're not in it alone. That's my hope.
What's wonderful, Susan. Gosh, what a great interview! The last interview of the week is probably the best one of the week. Thank you so much for being on the air with us today, Susan.
Thank you so much.
You mentioned your website earlier. Could you repeat it, please?
Yep, it's SusanECasey.com.
Okay, very good. And I found the book on Amazon, so anybody who wants the book, it's on Amazon. Susan, I can't wait to hear what you write in the future. I think you've got a future in writing that's going to blossom now.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you. It was such an honor. And rock on. Have a great day.
Rock on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Susan. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
When there is no pebble tossed, no